Is the vow of a lifetime a shield, or can its very embrace mask hidden vulnerabilities? Many believe one thing, yet the currents of the heart flow deeper. The truth can be startling, but understanding it is key. Journey with me to the end, for the final piece reveals a wisdom that can change everything. Inner stillness. We speak often of the commitments we make to others, the bonds we forge in the world. A marriage, a partnership, these are seen as structures of great strength, fortresses against the solitude of the world, and in many ways, they can be. But what if the greatest vulnerability, the very thing that might make one feel like prey to external forces or internal unrest, does not lie within the structure of the marriage itself, but deeper within the individual's own inner landscape? What if the commitment that is most neglected is the one to our own inner peace, our own self-awareness? Without this foundation, any external structure, no matter how sacred, can rest on unsettled ground, open to unseen tremors. Imagine a calm lake. Its surface reflects the sky, clear and undisturbed. This is the state of a mind that has cultivated inner stillness. It can perceive the world accurately, without the distortions of inner turmoil. Now imagine that lake disturbed by constant winds, its surface choppy, its reflections fragmented. This is akin to a mind that is constantly seeking, agitated, never truly at rest. This agitation doesn't necessarily stem from the marriage. It may predate it or develop alongside it, an unaddressed stirring that seeks an outlet, often in the wrong places. The married woman, or indeed any individual in such a state, is not easy prey because of her marital status, but because her inner sanctuary has not been diligently tended, leaving its gates unguarded. The world outside is full of noise, of distractions, of promises of fulfillment. If our inner world is equally noisy, filled with the clamor of unmet expectations we place upon ourselves or our partners, or the echoes of past hurts, then we are already disoriented. We might look to our partner to be the sole source of our peace, our happiness, our validation, but no single human being can carry such an immense burden for another. When this inevitably leads to disappointment, a feeling of lack, a sense of being unseen or unheard, the gaze may turn outwards, not in a conscious search for betrayal, but in a desperate search for something to quiet the inner storm. It is this internal vacuum, this absence of self-sourced stillness, that creates the vulnerable opening. The expectation that marriage will automatically provide a constant state of bliss is a pervasive illusion. It is a journey, a co-creation. But if partners exist within this union without cultivating their own inner contentment, they become like a ship without an anchor, tossed by waves of emotion. It's not the sea that is blamed, nor other ships, but the lack of an internal anchor. This is where vulnerability lies. Someone appearing to offer calm, a fleeting sense of understanding, or escape from inner noise can seem incredibly alluring, not because they are predatory, but because they are a mirage in a desert of inner unrest, a flicker of light in perceived darkness. The path to true strength, to becoming unshakable, begins with turning the gaze inward. It begins with the courage to sit with our own restlessness, to understand its roots, to cultivate that inner lake of stillness. This is not a passive state. It is profoundly active. It is the practice of self-remembering, of detaching from the ego's constant demands, and of finding a source of peace, not contingent on external circumstances or others' actions. When a married woman, or any person, is rooted in this inner stillness, her choices are no longer driven by desperate seeking, but by centered wisdom. She is no longer prey to illusions, because she has found reality within herself. Commitment to another flourishes best as an extension of deep commitment to one's own inner truth. This cultivation of inner stillness is not about becoming unfeeling or detached from one's partner. On the contrary, it allows for a deeper, more authentic connection. When we are not looking to our partner to fill our own emptiness, we can love them for who they are, not for what we need them to be for us. We can navigate the natural ups and downs of a shared life with greater equanimity. Vulnerability arises when this inner work is neglected, when the garden of the self is left untended, allowing weeds of discontent and misunderstanding to grow. It is these weeds that can obscure the path, making one susceptible to straying towards what seems an easier clearing, even if it leads nowhere. The journey of marriage is a profound opportunity for growth, but this growth must be twofold, as individuals and as a couple. If individual growth, particularly in self-awareness and inner peace, is stunted, the partnership itself will feel the strain. The feeling of being prey is often a symptom of this internal imbalance, a misinterpretation of an inner call to return to oneself, to find that unshakable core no external force can truly disturb. It is from this place of inner strength that all healthy relationships are built and sustained, making the idea of being easy prey a distant, almost unthinkable impossibility. Unseen currents. Within any long-term relationship, especially one as intimate as a marriage, there exist unseen currents. These are subtle shifts in emotion, unspoken expectations, gradual accumulations of small joys, and equally small resentments. Like deep ocean currents, they are often invisible from the surface, yet possess immense power to shape the relationship's course, to draw individuals closer or pull them slowly, almost imperceptibly, apart. It is in neglecting these currents, in failing to acknowledge their presence and navigate them with conscious awareness, that vulnerabilities can arise, making one feel adrift and susceptible to external influences that promise a steadier shore. Imagine a partnership as two boats sailing side by side. Initially, waters may be calm, the journey exhilarating, the focus entirely on each other and the shared horizon. But over time, if the sailors are not vigilant, not communicating about subtle changes in wind and tide, their boats can drift. One might be pulled slightly off course by a current of unfulfilled personal ambition, another by the weight of unspoken needs. This drift is rarely intentional. It's often a product of benign neglect, assuming the initial trajectory holds indefinitely without continued effort. The married woman feeling distant may not understand why. She only feels the growing space, the silence where conversation once flowed, the routine where vibrant connection once lived. These unseen currents can be made of many things. Perhaps it's the silent accumulation of household responsibilities falling disproportionately on one partner, creating a slow, burning resentment, never voiced but deeply felt. Perhaps it's the fading of shared dreams, replaced by mundane daily realities, without a conscious effort to create new ones. Or perhaps it's the subtle ways individuals change over years, for growth is inevitable, but fail to reintroduce themselves to their partner, to share these evolving inner landscapes. The person they married 10 years ago is not precisely who they are today, and vice versa. If these evolutions aren't shared, acknowledged, and integrated, the currents diverge. When a person feels herself carried by such a current, away from the warmth and understanding once known, a profound loneliness can set in, even within the marriage. It is this loneliness, this feeling of being unseen or unappreciated in one's closest relationship, that can create a particular vulnerability. It's not a weakness of character, but a deeply human response to a perceived emotional famine. If someone from outside then offers a lifeline, a moment of recognition, a sympathetic ear, it can feel like rescue, even if that lifeline is ultimately an illusion or leads to treacherous waters. They are not prey to a manipulator, but responding to a deep need for connection that feels unmet. The responsibility for tending to these currents lies with both partners. It requires active listening, not just hearing words, but understanding emotions beneath. It requires courage to speak one's truth, even when uncomfortable, and grace to receive another's truth. It requires commitment to continually rediscover each other, to explore changing maps of each other's inner worlds. Neglecting this essential work is like allowing a garden to become overgrown. Eventually, paths become obscured, and it's easy to get lost or seek a way out. The ease with which someone might seem swayed is often a direct measure of unaddressed distance created by these unseen currents. Furthermore, society often pressures marriage to be a perfect, self-sustaining entity, and individuals within it, particularly women, to be primary nurturers of that entity. When cracks appear, shame can arise, a reluctance to admit the ideal isn't met. This can lead to further silencing of needs, a deeper submersion of self, strengthening negative currents. The desire for escape, for validation that one is still desirable, interesting, worthy of attention, can become a powerful undertow. This isn't about being easy, but about being human and seeking what all humans need, to be seen, understood, and valued for their intrinsic being. To navigate these currents successfully is to transform marriage from a static institution into a living, evolving journey. It's acknowledging that change is constant, both within individuals and the relationship. By bringing awareness to subtle shifts, communicating openly, and making continuous conscious effort to steer together, partners can ensure currents draw them closer, strengthening their bond. In such a dynamic, a woman or any partner isn't vulnerable to being pulled away because she is an active participant in charting the course. Her hand firmly on the tiller alongside her companion, navigating deep waters with shared wisdom and mutual respect. Empty cup. There is a well-known saying, one cannot pour from an empty cup. This simple wisdom holds profound truth, especially within long-term relationships and the roles individuals assume. A marriage at its heart is a partnership of giving and receiving, mutual support and nourishment. But what happens when one individual, often through societal expectation, personal inclination, or gradual relationship dynamics, finds themselves in perpetual giving, their own cup slowly draining without adequate replenishment? This state of emotional, spiritual, or even physical depletion can create deep vulnerability, a yearning to feel full again that can, if unaddressed, make one susceptible to misguided solutions. Consider the life of a married woman who may also be a mother, caretaker, professional, household manager. Demands can be immense, roles multifaceted. She may pour her energy, time, love into family, work, home, striving to meet others' needs, maintain harmony, ensure smooth running. This giving can be a source of great joy, but if unbalanced with opportunities for her own renewal, for her own needs to be met, her inner resources inevitably diminish. Her cup, once overflowing, becomes shallow, then nearly empty. She may continue trying to give, but from a place of lack, unsustainable and ultimately damaging to herself and her relationships. This emptying is often a slow, insidious process, not a sudden event, but gradual erosion. Perhaps her contributions go unacknowledged, taken for granted. Perhaps her passions are put aside, deemed less important than pressing family needs. Perhaps she herself has forgotten how to receive or ask for what she needs, believing her role is solely to give. Over time, deep weariness can set in, a sense of being invisible, her own essence fading. In this state of profound emptiness, a person becomes vulnerable, not because she is weak, but because she is starved for something essential: recognition, care, a sense of her own worth beyond what she provides for others. When someone operates from an empty cup, their perception of the world can change. They may feel constant dissatisfaction, quiet desperation. If, in this state, an external source offers even a small amount of what feels like replenishment, a word of appreciation, focused attention, feeling seen as an individual rather than a role, it can feel disproportionately powerful. Like a starving person offered a crumb, that crumb seems like a feast. This isn't about the inherent allure of the external source, but the depth of the internal void. The ease with which such a woman might seem influenced isn't a reflection of marital status, but of her profound human need to feel her own cup filled, even a little. Responsibility for ensuring one's cup is full is in part personal. It involves self-awareness, setting boundaries, prioritizing self-care, communicating needs. However, in a marriage, it's also shared. Partners must be attuned to each other's well-being, recognize signs of depletion, actively contribute to each other's replenishment. This means not just taking, but also giving, appreciation, support, understanding, creating space for each partner to pursue their own sources of joy and renewal. If the marital dynamic itself contributes to emptying one partner's cup without offering ways to refill it, the relationship's foundation is weakened. This vulnerability isn't unique to married women, but societal narratives and traditional gender roles can sometimes exacerbate this dynamic for them. The expectation to be the ever-patient, ever-giving nurturer can be a heavy burden if it means self-abnegation. The longing to feel alive, vibrant, cherished for oneself, not just for one's functions, is a universal human desire. When this desire is chronically unmet within the primary relationship, the search for affirmation can, consciously or unconsciously, extend beyond its boundaries. It's a search for water when one is dying of thirst, a natural pull towards perceived sustenance. Therefore, the path to resilience, moving beyond this vulnerability, involves conscious effort to keep one's own cup full and help one's partner do the same. It means recognizing self-care isn't selfish, but essential for individual and relational health. It means fostering a marital environment where both partners feel seen, valued, supported in individual growth and well-being. When a woman feels her own cup is full, nourished from within and by a supportive partnership, she approaches the world from strength and contentment, not desperate need. She no longer seeks external validation to fill a void, because the void has been lovingly tended by herself and in communion with her partner. Silent yearning. Deep within the human heart, there resides a silent yearning, a yearning for connection transcending the mundane, a desire to be truly seen, deeply understood, unconditionally accepted. In marriage, an often unspoken expectation exists that this profound yearning will find its sanctuary, its fulfillment within that sacred bond. Yet, life is complex, humans imperfect. Sometimes, despite vows and shared history, this silent yearning remains, a quiet ache in the soul, a subtle indication that something vital is missing or lost. It's this unvoiced, unfulfilled yearning that can create profound vulnerability, a subtle openness to anything or anyone seeming to promise its satisfaction. This yearning isn't necessarily for grand romantic gestures or constant excitement. More often, it's for small, consistent affirmations of one's intrinsic worth and presence. It's yearning to be listened to with genuine interest, not just heard while the other formulates a reply. It's desire for intellectual companionship, shared laughter from deep understanding of each other's quirks. It's needing to feel cherished, not for what one does, meals cooked, bills paid, children raised, but for who one is at their core. When these subtle but essential soul nutrients are lacking in a marriage, a vacuum is created. The married woman or any individual may not articulate what's missing, but feels its absence as a persistent low-level hum of discontent. Consider the dynamic where communication dwindles to logistics. How was your day becomes perfunctory, not a genuine invitation to share. Deep conversations about dreams, fears, or the evolving inner self become rare, perhaps uncomfortable. In such an environment, one partner, perhaps more attuned to this emotional landscape, may feel invisible, their inner world uncharted, unacknowledged by their closest companion. This isn't necessarily malice. It can be stress, distraction, or lack of awareness about this deeper emotional connection's importance. But the effect on the yearning heart is the same. It feels unheard, unseen, profoundly alone, even in company. This silent yearning can be a powerful, unconscious motivator. It can lead a person to be exquisitely sensitive to signs of attention or understanding from outside the marriage. A kind word from a colleague, an engaging conversation, a moment of perceived empathy. These land with disproportionate impact when one is starved for such connection. It's not that these external interactions are inherently more meaningful, but they contrast starkly with the perceived emotional desert within the primary relationship. The ease with which someone might respond isn't fickleness, but testament to the intensity of their unfulfilled yearning. They are not necessarily seeking an affair, they seek resonance, a feeling of being truly alive and connected. Tragically, this yearning often remains silent. Fear of conflict, vulnerability, admitting the marriage isn't fulfilling every need, or lack of vocabulary to express these deep emotional states can keep this yearning locked away. but suppressed needs don't disappear. They fester, seeking outlets. Sometimes these outlets are healthy, hobbies, friendships, spiritual pursuits. But sometimes, when yearning is acute and the individual feels especially isolated, the outlet sought can offer fleeting, illusory connection, potentially jeopardizing the marriage's foundations. The heart seeks what it perceives as missing, sometimes without full discernment. Acknowledging and addressing this silent yearning is crucial for any marriage's vitality. It requires courage from the one who feels it to find their voice, articulate needs non-blamingly. It requires empathy and willingness to listen from the other partner, to understand this yearning isn't accusation, but an invitation to deepen connection. It means cultivating a relationship where vulnerability is safe, where both partners feel empowered to share innermost selves without fear of judgment or dismissal. It means consciously efforting to see and appreciate the person beyond their roles, acknowledging their depths. When a marriage becomes a place where these deep yearnings are acknowledged, explored, and, to human ability, met, it transforms into a true sanctuary. Vulnerability to external enticements diminishes significantly, not because of stronger walls, but because inner nourishment is rich and satisfying. A woman feeling deeply seen, heard, cherished by her partner isn't easy prey for superficial attention because she's already feasting at a banquet of genuine connection. Her silent yearnings have found a voice, and that voice found a loving, receptive ear within her marriage's heart. This shared journey builds an unshakable bond. Mirrored selves. We all seek reflections of ourselves in the world, in others' eyes. This natural human tendency affirms our existence, identity, worth. In marriage, a partner often becomes a primary mirror, reflecting back aspects of who we are or believe ourselves to be. Ideally, this mirroring is loving, supportive, encouraging growth. However, sometimes over a long relationship, the reflection can distort or cease reflecting certain parts of ourselves once valued, or parts we wish to rediscover. In this complex dance of mirrored selves, a particular vulnerability can emerge, where an individual might be drawn to an external reflection seeming to offer a more flattering, exciting, or validating image than perceived within their marriage. Consider a woman who, before marriage or in early stages, saw herself as adventurous, witty, intellectually vibrant, or creatively expressive. Over time, demands of family, career, or evolving relationship dynamics may have led these aspects to become dormant or less frequently expressed and acknowledged. Her partner, perhaps accustomed to her current roles, may no longer actively mirror those earlier or suppressed facets. She might look in the marital mirror and see wife, mother, organizer, but miss the reflection of the free spirit or keen intellect she still feels herself to be. This isn't necessarily the partner's fault. Life changes us. Perceptions settle into routine. However, if this woman then encounters someone new, outside established daily patterns, who, by chance or design, notices and appreciates precisely those dormant or unacknowledged aspects, the effect can be electrifying. Suddenly, she sees a flash of her lost self in this new mirror. This person laughs at her jokes, engages her ideas, sees the adventurous spark. It feels like profound recognition, validation that parts she feared gone or no longer valued are still alive and attractive. This isn't necessarily about the other person as predator, but about the power of a validating reflection when one feels parts of their identity obscured or undervalued. The allure here isn't just simple flattery, it's often a deeper psychological phenomenon. It can feel like a chance to reclaim a neglected part of oneself. The ease with which an individual might be drawn into such a dynamic is less about inherent weakness, more about the compelling power of seeing a cherished aspect of one's identity acknowledged and celebrated, especially if that acknowledgement has been lacking. It's a form of self-recovery, albeit potentially through a misleading path. The person offering this new reflection may not even be aware of their profound impact. They simply interact. But for the unseen individual, this interaction takes on outsized significance. This dynamic can also work in reverse. Sometimes a person seeks reflection of an idealized self, a self they wish to be but haven't become. If an external individual seems to embody or encourage this idealized version, it can be incredibly attractive. Or they might seek a reflection contrasting sharply with perceived negative aspects of current life or self-perception within marriage, seeking excitement if life feels dull or sophistication if they feel mundane. The external mirror offers a different picture, and temptation to step into that picture, believe it more real or attainable, can be strong. The human psyche is drawn to narratives of self-improvement and transformation. The path to navigating this vulnerability lies in conscious, evolving self-awareness and fostering a marital relationship where both partners actively work to see and reflect each other's multifaceted, evolving nature. It means not allowing reflections to become static or limited to certain roles. It requires couples to communicate about individual growth journeys, changing passions, rediscovered interests, so the marital mirror continues offering rich, dynamic, affirming reflection. It means efforting to see beyond the everyday, remember and acknowledge diverse qualities that first drew you together and new ones emerged since. When a married woman feels her partner truly sees her in her entirety, strengths, vulnerabilities, history, potential, and when that reflection is largely loving and appreciative, the need to seek other mirrors diminishes. She feels whole, acknowledged within her primary bond. The allure of an external, perhaps superficial reflection pales against the deep, nuanced understanding from a partner committed to seeing and supporting all of who she is. The concept of being prey to a fleeting, flattering reflection becomes irrelevant when one basks in the steady, authentic light of a relationship mirroring the true, evolving self with love and acceptance. This mutual mirroring is vital. Woven bonds. The commitment of marriage is often visualized as a strong, unbreakable bond. Indeed, at its best, it's a tapestry woven with threads of love, trust, shared experience, mutual respect. However, the true strength of these woven bonds lies not in initial declaration, but in continuous conscious tending. Like any intricate weaving, if neglected, threads can fray, patterns fade, gaps appear. In these weakened areas, where the bond has become more habit than vibrant, actively maintained connection, vulnerabilities can arise, making the structure susceptible to pressures and potentially leading individuals to feel the tapestry no longer holds them securely or beautifully. Think of early relationship days. Weaving is often done with great care. Each thread, a shared dream, vulnerable moment, act of kindness, is mindfully added, strengthening the design. But as time passes, routines set in, external pressures mount, active weaving can give way to an assumption existing bonds are sufficient, will hold indefinitely without further effort. This is a subtle, dangerous shift. A bond of habit differs greatly from a bond of active, conscious connection. Habit offers comfort, predictability, but can also breed complacency, a sense of being taken for granted, which slowly erodes the foundation. When the weaving process stalls, when new threads of connection, understanding, shared experience aren't actively added, the existing tapestry can feel stale, even constricting. For a married woman or any partner in such a dynamic, the bond once a source of strength and joy might feel like mere obligation, or worse, a cage. Vibrant colors of shared life may seem to fade, replaced by monotonous hues. In this context, where internal bonds frayed through neglect or misunderstanding, openings for perceived alternatives can appear more attractive. An external interaction offering a new thread, a splash of vibrant color, can seem immensely appealing against a faded tapestry.